Welcome to the More Than Your Age podcast. I am glad to have you here. In this episode, I had the privilege of interviewing Jacquie Ramsey, the visionary founder of the FreshTest. If you've never heard of the FreshTest, it is an amazing product. You have to listen to this episode. It is a game changer compared to the traditional glucose test that many pregnant women have to take. Jacquie passionately explains the critical importance of screening for gestational diabetes and raises concerns about the ingredients in conventional glucose drinks. Seeing an opportunity to create a healthier option, she dedicated years to navigating FDA regulations and bringing the FreshTest to market. As a mother myself who has personally used this test for 2 out of my 4 pregnancies, I never heard about it for my first 2. I value and appreciate Jacquie's dedication and the incredible product she's created. It is truly transformative. We'll also learn some really fun random facts about Jacquie that if you know who she is, you may not know about these fun facts. And believe me, you definitely do not want to miss that. I think I want to be her best friend. So Jacquie, when you listen to this again, you got my number, girl. I can't wait for you listeners to hear her inspiring story. Enjoy the show. Joining me today on the More Than Your Age podcast is the founder of the FreshTest, Jacquie Ramsey. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Erica. It's so good to be on.
It's great to have you. Absolutely. Well, Jacquie, I first learned about the FreshTest with my 3rd pregnancy from a friend. I was immediately drawn to the product. I researched about it. I asked my OB, is it okay if we use a FreshTest? She knew about it. I was so thankful she said yes. And so I was able to use it then. And then I just recently, I'm currently at the time of this recording in my 4th pregnancy. And so just had my glucose test, was able to use a FreshTest. This product is a game changer. It is huge.
Thank you.
For those who may not have taken an actual glucose test that the typical doctor office provides, is probably the worst drink you could ever have in your entire life. I am dramatic, but it is also, it's disgusting. And so what you have created is transformative. And so for those who are unfamiliar with the FreshTest, could you kind of briefly explain what the product is?
Yeah, exactly. So typically, or almost always, so when a woman's pregnant between a 24 and 28 week gestation, their physician or midwife will require them to do gestational diabetes screening. And to do that, you have to drink a huge amount of glucose and then get your plasma blood glucose drawn to determine is your body handling the glucose okay, or is it skyrocketing and not coming down? If it's not coming down, your blood sugar, then you have gestational diabetes. So the screening itself is so important because it can prevent tons of complications down the road if you do have it. And there's really no big sign or symptom that you have gestational diabetes. Even like the healthiest woman can end up having it. It just depends on how your body is reacting to that pregnancy. So there were, a handful of products in the market that they were formulated in the 70s. And when I was pregnant with my little River, which is 7 years ago, I went in, saw that the product was super antiquated and not something that I would consume, and redeveloped it. So we have an organic, additive-free version called the FreshTest.
Oh, that's also new too, because I had the packet with the powder. Yeah. Well, I do want to get more into. There it is for everyone to see. For the listeners, we can show you, or we can show it in the show notes as well. But I do want to get more into the product and how that came to be. But I'd like to kind of backtrack, and I want to hear more about your previous work and how you got started in healthcare and with Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah, sure. So it's crazy. I've been in healthcare for 20 plus years. It's like, I feel like I'm 20, but I don't know how that happened. Yeah, my mom was a nurse and I loved growing up, seeing her passion for it. She's always studying, trying to get her next degree, but she also had a lot of frustration, as everyone does in their career sometimes. And I didn't have so much a time manner, I guess, but I had more of a business mind. And so like right away in college, I knew that I wanted to get in healthcare and I wanted to be able to do like some big improvements. So I sought out like the top of the top companies that were doing huge innovation, primarily in women's healthcare. And so I worked for like Medtronic and Bard and Hologic and just learned a ton and absorbed as much as I could over the last, 15, 20 years. So I worked in business development all throughout the world and a lot of sales roles. But what's interesting is that a lot of my background is on endocrinology and obstetrics and GYN. So when I came in to do this test, it's the diabetes test for OB patients, I was like, oh, that's, very serendipitous. Like I have background in both things. So that's why I wanted to take it on.
So when you were working previously and you said in sales and business management, like what were kind of what were some of the things that you handled or that you took care of to where you would have all this knowledge in endocrinology?
Yeah. So initially, right out of college, I took a role at Medtronic, which was in the division of their diabetes. And I taught diabetes education classes alongside certified diabetes educators. And I was learning all the ins and outs of type 1 and type 2 and like really hand-holding patients' experience as they get on insulin pumps and learn to count carbs. And so understanding glucose in this entirety, like right out of college, was just like, it's just second nature, right? Like I spent many years just learning it so that I could then teach these conferences and classes for patients. And then for obstetrics, OBGYN, I worked in the operating room, doing sales and training doctors on equipment for ablations and fibroid resections. And they sent me to India to work there. And so it's just, I worked with a lot of OBGYNs hand in hand. I just felt like I understood a lot of like what they need in products. So they need to know like scientifically, how they trust products and all of that. And then I also worked for a company for business development. And that role was really interesting. I got to go to different countries and figure out, what product that country uniquely needed. So like building out a product portfolio specific to that country. Every household, every state, country can be a little different.
Yeah. Now, because once you graduated, you stated that you wanted to seek out Fortune 500 companies, like these top companies that were doing a lot of great things in healthcare. What and you said too, your mom was in healthcare. She's a nurse as well, or not as well, but she was a nurse. And so how did you know the importance of let me seek out Fortune 500 companies as opposed to just finding something, just a job?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Minnesota, and so Medtronic and Guidant were just right around the corner. So I always kind of saw them. And I just kind of felt like if I was going to go into this career, I want to learn from the best of the best. Those like seeking excellence, those like innovating better than anybody else. And so I really truly sought out like who are the market leaders, who has the best premium products, who's paving the way. And that is really, really interesting to me. And the last company I was at, Hologic, is a women's health company. And it just lit me up because if you look at globally, the amount of money spent in female R&D for healthcare is so small. It's like 4%.
Wow.
Yet, I mean, we're half the population and women make the majority of healthcare decisions for the family, yet 4% is devoted towards healthcare. And so I sought them out because they were making huge strides in breast cancer detection, prenatal screenings, surgical products for OBGYN. So I just think when you're surrounded by people that strive for excellence, you absorb that and you can learn from that. I didn't want to go to, a smaller company that may not have the same values, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's good that you recognize that because I don't think a lot of people would, can think think that way. And so just the fact that you did that and you sought out these companies, and it was good that they were semi-local too. So that's helpful as well. Now, because you did travel all over the world with healthcare, what were some of the healthcare practices that you saw that were successful outside of the US that would be beneficial for the States to embrace here?
Yeah, I was trying to think about that. Like, one thing I noticed over the past 10 years, the USA is dropping in healthcare innovation. So we're now ranked number 10, which is alarming. You'd think that we would be top. We have the most entrepreneurs in the US and all that. But what I found was, there's the obvious countries are really leading the way: Switzerland, Germany, Japan. But, what it really came down to was hospital specific. So I go into hospitals every other day here in the US. Every hospital is very different in how it's run and the culture from top down. And then it gets even more different when you're going across states, and even more different when you're in different countries. And that, I think, is what's fascinating. One hospital could be running super innovative. The physicians are leading the way in what health care they want to provide the patients, whereas another hospital is administrative and they are making top-down decisions based on the bottom line. So when I was international specifically, I really liked those hospitals where the physicians were driving a lot of the decisions, and the nursing team, versus looking at the bottom line. I think we can provide better care when we put it in the hands of the providers. But
yeah, because they know what they're doing. I have a handful of friends who work in the medical field, the healthcare industry, whether it's a doctor or a nurse practitioner, they're in there, and so you hear the pros and cons of everything, of just what they're dealing with. And so this is kind of a side thing too. And I'm curious to know from the business aspect of what you have seen as well. You did just say that if it's in the hands of the physicians or the nurses, if they're the ones kind of taking care of everything, have you noticed that, trying to think how I want to ask this exactly. When you've seen just the differences in how hospitals run and how doctor's office runs, the employee satisfaction, because that affects your patients if your employees aren't satisfied. And so is that from an administrative level, or if you're saying if the physicians are running it, that really does help?
Gosh, I don't know. It's the culture just throughout, right? Everybody from the C-suite to the physicians and how they treat their teams, and the staff and how they're treating their patients. But it is drastically different between sites, between offices. So I think just having the right core values and what they're trying to do for the community. But it's just interesting. So it's just one of my bosses said I had xenophile, and that's this obsession or intrigue over other cultures, and I just find it fascinating, diving in, their upbringing may have created a different perspective on things. And so then just kind of looking at whether it's healthcare or life or everything through their eyes, there's just such subtle differences everywhere, and I love that.
Yeah. Now, when just thinking about being a female in the healthcare industry, if you can go back to the beginning or just even the middle, and even right now, what were or are your goals for the healthcare industry as a female?
Well, when I first started, I have to say it was all male driven. Amongst in the C-suite, all the VPs, 100% male, and it was a very specific type of male. And over the years, I really have seen a lot of women rise up and take big roles. And I love seeing that. And every time I'm in a company or a group, I try to seek out the female that are at the top and try to get mentoring advice and just stay connected with them, because they have somehow cracked the code on how to climb and not get bogged down with, various obstacles. And I've seen a lot of stride. I'm fairly happy with where women are in at least medical companies right now. There's a lot in power. So it's great to see.
Yeah, that is great. Did you ever notice that when you were younger and as a female, because it was predominantly men, that you had to either try extra harder or you had to kind of defend yourself more as a female, as a young female? What did you notice, or what do you remember
Completely.
doing?
It's so crazy. I remember going in, one, I felt like just too young, like, because I had dove into my dream company right from the get-go. So I felt too young. So I was dressing real old, dressing, I don't know, just less feminine than I normally would. Trying extra hard, staying late, just doing everything I could to like climb. And it worked out, but I think now women have a much easier time getting into the workforce. It's still a challenge. There's totally challenges there, but gosh, it was a different time 20 years ago, for sure.
Yeah. And it's great that there's been this improvement, because that is hopeful for younger women and even women that are whatever age right now trying to get into the healthcare industry. And so that's good that there's a change
Yeah.
and that you've seen this change as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So a side note, because I know this will tie in somewhere, and this is just a fun fact that you shared with me, and then I, looked up a little bit more, but everyone needs to know that you signed up for the show Survivor and you were on this show and you met your husband there. So what made you sign up for
Yeah.
this show? And I just want to hear a little bit about this, because this is a fun fact.
It was so fun. I would do it again in a heartbeat. And it's funny too because so this was in 2008, and my husband and I haven't seen the show since. I was kind of like, okay, bookended that. But now my kids are my 7-year-old. They're fascinated with the show, so we are diving in, and it's really really fun for us. I'm like fresh on Survivor mode. But at the time, I was working for a healthcare company, working far too many hours. Far too many. I was so burnt out. And I don't share this with too many people. And the person I was dating had tragically died in an airplane accident.
Oh,
It was
gosh.
very startling. It was very, very startling. And it just like shook me, obviously. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, and he was the type that I always be like, you can do anything you want in the world. Like, you can fly to Paris if you want right now. And I love that about this guy. And anyway, it stopped me dead in my tracks. And I was like, I want to travel. I want to do something fun. Like, and I had some really good friends that helped me make a video and just randomly got chosen. Like, it was such a great comeback. Like, it was just fabulous. And then I got sent to Africa, Gabon, Africa, and that was like a dream location. The Survivor, I think it was the first time I went to Africa. And it was the one spot that I dreamt about since I was a little kid. So it was just very cool.
Oh, that's so neat. And then so your husband was on the same season with you while you were doing it?
He was working he had done production prior to it, but at that season, he was working as like, he was basically our chaperone. So the day I got kicked off and my heart was broken from losing, I met him and we truly fell in love within like minutes.
Wow.
So,
Man, that's so
it was
cool.
great.
That is just a fun thing. So, and you said slightly before, you're like, okay, I want to travel. And then you did this, your friends helped make this video for you so you could get on the show. So did the show kind of help also launch this desire to continue traveling and find jobs within healthcare that allowed you to do that?
Yeah. And it really opened my eyes up that like, I don't know, like before that, I grew up in the Midwest, we traveled very little. And I was like, no, traveling can be easy. Like we can do this. Anyways, after Survivor, I think we went to like 35 countries before kids. And we did like anything we could to travel because we're both workaholics, my husband and I, but we traveled for art. We traveled because he's an artist. For my job, a fair bit. We got on a game show once in Japan. We traveled conferences, like just anything we could do to like see the world. We took advantage of it. So
okay, how did you
really
hear?
great.
How did you hear about this show in Japan?
Oh, just a friend of a friend. My husband used to work in television, so he knew somebody who was casting for a show in Japan. We're like, we'll do it. And yeah, it was. And anytime my company had like an international R&D project going on, I rose my hand. And we also, we got married in Santa Barbara, but we also got married 12 other times in different countries because we thought it was just so fun to like learn their cultures and then do like a procession or keep it real small. But it was kind of fun. Oh, and one other thing, that travel that we did were medical missions through Hand of Hope. That was phenomenal. Like just working with those that need it the most, whether it was dental or any other healthcare situation. We were there to just kind of help.
Wow, man, y'all sound like really fun people and really cool people to be around. Like I need to be your friend, Jacquie. So when you got married at 12 different countries, did you have friends or family come with you, or did you just say, "Hey, we're going to wherever, come with us"?
Yeah, no, we would just if we were traveling somewhere, we'd say, "Hey, why don't we just carve out a day? We'll figure it out." We'll sometimes have like a few friends in the country or a friend with us, but like we just wanted to do it for him and I, and cute picture
And a neat story.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's a really, I've never heard anyone doing something like that before. So that's really cool. I like hearing about that. Okay, so y'all got married 12 different times. You eventually you get pregnant with River, your first child, and then you kind of touched base on this before, but you had to go in to take this test, this glucose test, and you were shocked about the ingredients in the glucose test at the doctor's office. Why was this Why was this so shocking to you?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't like such a health nut, but it did not sit well with me. And I was like, I'm pregnant for the first time. I'm trying to listen to my body. And it was like a gut instinct, like, do not drink this product. And so I really refused it. Then, and I'm friends with a lot of OBs here. They're all wonderful, but it's quite a dichotomy right now. They are mandated to have you do this test. So I said no, then had to go to a different OB office. I said, got told no. I went to my third office. Finally, the physician understood my dilemma. And this was a while ago. So I don't think anyone was saying no to this drink. And we figured it out. I like made something at home and he was comfortable with that. But then I realized I'm like, if sometimes when things are so hard, it could be a huge opportunity on the other side, right? So it just really like piqued my interest right from the day. I think from that day forward, I started researching the heck out of it. Like, why has this not been improved? And there's a couple ingredients in it in other brands, one that's banned in Europe, another ingredient Governor Newsom just banned or soon will be banned in California. So I'm like, clearly there's data out there showing that some of these preservatives or dyes may not be good for you. So in the most delicate of times, I wanted to stay clear from them, right? So, but physicians, their governing board, ACOG, which is wonderful. They really encourage doctors to screen patients for toxic environmental agents, to try to stay away from processed foods, yet they're required to get this training. So like they need another option. And I started on that road. It took years and I realized why there wasn't another product out there. It is registered as a medical device, class 2. You think it was just a beverage, but it's not. It's very highly regulated because it's got to be very specific. And it was incredibly hard to get through the FDA. We got it. It just took many years.
Yeah, wow. Now, with your knowledge of the specific ingredients that have been banned in other countries, and like you said, one is about to be banned in California, do you know what it is that is harmful about these ingredients and why they are banned elsewhere?
Yeah, there's studies of just like some of the dyes, hyperactivity in kids. But then my thought pattern was, well, what does that do to the womb, at that age? And I don't have any science to back it up. It was truly like an instinct of like, I don't want this, so I want another option. And then BDO, brominated vegetable oil, is banned. I believe it's a carcinogenic and considered a flame retardant.
Oh, wow.
So that's been taken out of other brands recently. There, I think it's in one still, but and then a lot of the other ingredients. I think we're all reading labels more, right? But a lot of the other ingredients on these other brands, I mean, there were like 10 to 15 different ingredients for shelf stability. Like, is that really necessary? And I felt like I'm a woman, I would pay more for like high quality ingredients. And then what I was realizing too is like, this is the most talked about part of pregnancy because women were so nervous about having to drink a traditional, they call it glucola. And a lot of women can't keep it down. There's a huge percentage of women who can't keep it down. There's a growing number of women with allergies to some of those additives. So I'm like, there has to be another product. Otherwise, women aren't getting screened properly. So it was great being able to fill that need. And I'm hoping it just keeps growing because more and more women are going organic or non-GMO and additive-free. And I feel like we all should be looking at labels. So.
Yeah, I mean, the friend who talked to me about it, because I didn't know about it until she said something to me, and then once I learned about it, I'm like telling all my pregnant friends, and about it, and so it's just passing it along. And my chiropractor had it in her office, and I was like, I'm so glad you have it in your office. Yeah, so it's great. Now, the thing too, I'm curious about when you went to the third OB to say, hey, I don't want to take this test, and they said, okay, how did you know? I mean, how did you know what to do because at that time you didn't have your product out yet. You're just figuring things out. So how did you know what to take?
Because of my, I have diabetes educator friends, best friends of mine, but I would teach carb counting and the difference between glucose, sucrose, fructose. I had a good understanding of that, fiber, protein, and what it all does to your blood sugar. In the past, I've worn many continuous glucose monitors, even before they became kind of a rage for biohackers. But back in the day, I would wear them for my company. And so I really understood what was needed. Essentially, it's a very specific amount of glucose, and I wanted a high quality amount of glucose. And so that's what my physician was open to.
Wow, that's great. That
I really had to go through the details of it, nitty gritty.
Okay, so you then you say you're working on this new product. You realize, okay, there's an importance to have this out there because it's not out there. Why was it important for you to create the product yourself as opposed to pitching the idea to another company that's already established?
I always dreamt of having my own company. Like I wanted something where I had, especially becoming a new mom, I wanted the flexibility of just running a company, all of picking up the kids, like having them by my side. Like I put so much pressure on myself. I didn't really want tons of pressure from another company. So it never occurred to me to sell it or to pitch it to a company. It was always like my baby. Like I wanted to handle it. And at the time, as I shared it with other folks, there weren't too many people that were as passionate about it as I was. And I feel like at the helm of something, like you have to have that passion and excitement. And if somebody wasn't interested or felt like there was a big need out there, they weren't going to push it forward. So, yeah, God put me at the right time, right spot at the right time with the right experience, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be the biggest believer in what you're selling and what you're doing, because otherwise no one else will be. Now, when you decided to create this product, you were also working 9 to 5 and you had this growing family. And so what did the days look like as you balanced work and being a mom and a wife and friends and now this passion project of yours?
A lot. It was so hard. Like I think having a good balance in life, I work at it every day, right? But I like to smile like ear to ear when I was like, I was working on this project, not my 95, but working on FreshTest, bouncing River in his little bouncer next to me and just carrying him as I'm like doing a conference call and a walk. Like so much of it, I knew from the get-go, I'm like, I want our kids to be part of it. So they were with me in meetings. I remember having a meeting at our house while playing on the floor with my little one. And it was just, I loved it. I loved it. And anytime, and still to this day, anytime it just feels like too hard, like too many things, I just always remind myself, like, God will never give us too much. Like, it's in our head that it's too much, that it can stress us out. Like, just like, do what we can. We have what we have today, and we have all that we need to get it done. And so I just keep trying to calm myself down. And then, at lately in the past year, I had the kids at booths with me as we're at medical conferences. I'll have them hand out lemonade. They are so good. They're great little employees.
Yes. Well, and that's really special too, that you wanted to create this business. You had this desire to do this and to have them alongside with you, and they get to see what mom does and mom's creation, mom's business, and they're helping you with it, and you get to have that quality time with them. And so that's really sweet. Yeah, that you get to do
Right.
that.
And I always told Robert, because he asks about the business a lot. He's got a similar business mind. And I go, Robert, you're the one that may have come up with that. Like, you're in my tummy, like telling Mama, don't consume that. So, I'm very big part of it.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Very sweet. Well, I also want to hear about what the trial and error process was like as you were creating this perfect mixture to fulfill medical requirements. And, kind of, I know that that's probably a lot, but just kind of a little, give us a little peek into what that looks like.
Yeah. Lots of taste testing. This house has had a lot of lemonade over the years. Initially, I had wanted to come out with a candy where someone could just enjoy chewing like some Skittles or jelly beans. Like, there have been studies out there in the past. The problems with that, when there's fructose involved and not just glucose, it can affect your blood sugar. If there's gelatin involved, that can affect it. It really had to be straight glucose. So I asked from that. That was a good amount of time. Then I went to pressed juice. So I would have fresh pressed lemon, cucumber, mint. It was amazing. This was my favorite product. And then high quality organic glucose. And it was high pressure pasteurized. The problem with that is shipping a pressed juice in the middle of summer. It's very, very difficult. So the shelf life for that was really short. Then we switched to the powder line, which I absolutely, this is my favorite because women are very familiar with supplements, just pour it in water. And what taste was super, super important to me. Because I was like, if we're giving women another option, I wanted to be palatable. Like, let's enjoy it. Like, why do we have to suffer through this stuff? Like, you're going to have a mountain of sugar. Like, let's have it fun, right? So, a lot of tests. I found the exact perfect farm with the lemons. We made it in a crystallized fashion, very, very healthy and organic. And then the mint helps ease nausea. So it's a very specific amount of mint, a specific type of peppermint, spearmint, wintergreen, like it's this whole thing. And we just found the right blend, I feel. A lot of people will say it's similar to like Chick-fil-A lemonade or we have a restaurant out here called Lemonade. It's very similar to that. But yeah, and we're coming out with more flavors. I'm very excited about that. But,
that is exciting.
Yeah, and then we came out with this because some laboratories like Kaiser and other ones also thought it was pre-mixed. Just because they couldn't do the mixing in labs, we came back out with this. It's a great option.
Yeah, that is a great option. Yeah, my OB, when I did it recently, she last time I did it, they said I mixed it in advance, and they're like, you're not supposed to do that, but just next time. I'm like, okay. So then this time they said, did you pre-mix it? And I said, no, because you told me not to last time. And then they did it. But yeah, no, that's a great that's a new product option that you have.
Yeah. Every office is learning, right? Because it's very different. Having a powder option is just different for them, but it's exactly equivalent. We passed our last FDA audit as in colors, and so yeah, the validated, approved option.
That's incredible. And I want to hear about the first time, and I know you had a lot of relationships with OBs, which is very helpful in trying to get this product launched. I want to hear about the first doctor's office or how it kind of transpired when you heard the first yes.
That was exciting. Because I went to a number of offices and we're told no. It was a product. It was because it was my baby, like that no just hurt a lot more than when I've sold any other products in the past, just kind of hurt, right? And what was such a blessing in it all is the first customers reached out to me. So just like I didn't want the product back in the day, there was other women that Googled it and searched for it high and low. Specifically, it was midwives that reached out first and foremost and really how quickly can we get this product? And I mean, it was such a great problem to have, but my biggest obstacle was keeping the product in stock. So I would have, very little quantities at first and kept growing. And the mountain of yeses are people that sought it out. So I feel really fortunate for that.
Wow. Now, because there were people that were seeking this out and predominantly midwives, how soon after the midwives and people seeking out did a doctor's office or a medical practitioner say, hey, we want this in our office too, or we're approving this?
Yeah, it just kept growing like steadily. It was like word of mouth, right? So somebody would reach out and get it, and then the neighboring physician will have heard about it, or patients will start asking them. And like your friend, like it's just truly like word of mouth. So I think when there's a good product out there, that is how it happens. It's organic growth. Like you can only push or market or advertise so much. And when the product is really high quality and we get like a 10 out of 10 review on it, like it speaks for itself. So hopefully that just keeps happening. But like it's the people that love it, who share, then they share, then they share. And I'm just really hoping that keeps happening.
Yeah, I think it will. Absolutely. Now you explained too that there were challenges as far as like as you kept growing, making more, having enough supply, and then challenges of hearing no at first. What were some of the other challenges that you had to overcome in the midst of creating this product and then really getting it into the hands of medical practitioners?
Yeah, just so many of the no's. like and with all businesses, just like being comfortable and the uncomfortable, there's always something that comes up, whether a whole run, it doesn't pass quality check. Or like, oh gosh, like what's next, right? And like, we have so many difficulties, like shipping issues that were out of our control, product didn't get somewhere in time, the frustrations of a pregnant mom not getting their product in time. We've hopefully alleviated most of that. Physicians not feeling that it's validated enough and proving that it is, showing and proving the equivalency. We're actually the only company out there that has an IRB approved clinical study, but we had to do that to prove that we were in line with the other products. And I think it was because we didn't have a big pharma name or something. Yeah. But with every no, I think it's a learning opportunity. So like let's just go above and beyond. Like whatever their objection is, let's show them otherwise, right? Let's not just back down. So the amount of clinicals and white papers that we have helped move mountains. And then also those providers that did love the product, we really just asked for their support in sharing it with others. And then finding the right team. That's always great. We have an amazing COO, Kylie. Our regulatory team is phenomenal. A manufacturing team. We had to switch manufacturers 3 times. That's very, very difficult. But just trusting that you're going to find the right one, knowing what you need out of each step of the way, and just trusting that it'll happen.
Yeah.
Keep going. Don't stop.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the same thing too. Of like we were saying before, when you believe so much of what you're doing and your product specifically, like know how necessary this is, and you want to keep pushing it forward because really the ultimate goal is to help women and their babies.
Right. That's what I kept reminding myself is that, and that was what also helped keep me going is moms would reach out and say, thank you. And these emails would always come at the right time, right? Like I was discouraged by X, Y, and Z, logistics not working out and whatnot. And then a mom would be like, thank you. Like it's very empowering for women to know they have another option and ask for it. And I think healthcare is changing very, very quickly. And in the next 10 years, it's going to be very different too. Like we are, as women, as humans, we're able to research and understand what a test is and figure out the various options and then ask for it. So no stories really kept it going.
Yeah. Why do you think it took so long to have a product like yours that was safe,
The regulatory. It is. I understand why it has to be regulated very closely because it's a very specific test. I mean, it's like your blood sugar is 5 milligrams per deciliter, too high or too low, and the test is different. So it has to be regulated that way. But I don't know if there were females really like a lot of these pharma companies weren't focused on a product that's 50 cents historically to make because there's not a huge margin on it. They weren't going to invest in it, and they weren't hearing a bunch of clamoring that it wasn't what it needed to be. They're like, it's fine as is. And then, the years it took to get approved.
So you shared with me that you are passionate about solving the health inequalities in the USA, and you're passionate about providing options to women and empowering them to push for what they want, which is really why you created what you created with the FreshTest. Why is all this important to you?
Well, I think from a young age, my mom always showed me like health is so important, right? Like, in my belief, like faith is number one. And then right there behind is like, if you don't have health, like really nothing else matters, right? Like sometimes we take for granted that we can walk around, be healthy and feel good. But if you don't have that, like you might not have a job, you might be able to support your family and all of that. And I see it as I go into like hospitals for the past 20 years of like, there's some people that really need a lot of help and may or may not be getting the services that they need. And then I would go to hospitals and see like, well, this hospital has this incredible technology and this hospital has 20-year-old technology. Like why? Like why are this disparity? And back in the 1940s or 50s, health in the US became like a right. It wasn't just a privilege. So like I just kind of like think through this and like I just want to make sure, in my time on this earth, I would love to see like improvement in healthcare. And as I said, I was on those medical missions and like seeing people watching people see for the first time in like 10 years because of a procedure, or it was just the smallest things can make such a big difference in a person's life. So just doing what we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I know too that you have a provision of kind of next steps, next tests that you want to create that are helpful for people. Can you tell us about your next product line, the cleaner colonoscopy prep? Yeah, tell us.
So this summer we're launching a few products. We have a colonoscopy prep, and so when I was pregnant, so many women were talking about the glucose test, and it perked my ears up. And now, as I'm getting older, I'm 41. I'm hearing folks at the dinner table talk about colonoscopies and the prep. I'm looking at those ingredients. Like what? Like this can be improved as well. So we're launching a cleaner, better tasting colonoscopy prep this summer. We're also going to have some like other ancillary items like postnatal smoothies, new mom smoothies, just making sure we're getting like the nutrients that we need, because as soon as baby comes, the focus goes on baby. And I feel like a lot of times we forget or don't have time to get what we need. So we're launching some products like that as well.
Wow, you said this summer?
Yeah, this summer.
Perfect for me because that'll be especially the postnatal product. Well, and I can't remember if I told you this, but my when I went to get my glucose testing recently, and I was telling my mother-in-law and a close family friend as well, and was talking about the product, and they said, "Oh, we need to have there needs to be something for colonoscopies because that drink is horrible. And then after we spoke and you shared that with me, I went back and I reported and I said, have no fear, is on its way. And so I'm just so excited that you're creating that. Your team, your company is doing that because it's so necessary and it's going to be better. Just like the FreshTest drink that we're having to, that we're getting to take now too. It has drastic, like I told you, it was a game changer and huge. And to all my pregnant friends, I'm just shouting it from the rooftop so that they can hear about it. And so Jacquie, it's really neat to just hear your story. To one, like when you, like you said, after you graduated college, you knew you wanted to work for the big companies because you wanted, do these really great things, and you traveled and you were in Survivor, you got married 12 different countries and doing all these, like just living life really, and still working for these companies. And then you have this idea to create this product that can be a better option for women. And you really did it at a young age. I mean, you're still very young as well. And so a lot of women, which is the whole point in this podcast, will maybe see a problem or there's something that they want to do. And whether it's their age or they feel like they're not where they should be to do whatever it is that they want to do, big or small. Right. And so they feel limited based on this. And I want to hear, this is the question that I love to ask all my guests. And so I want to hear from you. If you could encourage one woman who has a desire to chase after something, do something big or small, but they feel blocked or limited based on their age or life circumstance, what would you tell her?
To jump, to leap. My brother gave me a card when I was younger, and it says, leap and the net will appear. And just go for it. It's human nature. We get comfortable where we are. But are we supposed to be comfortable? Like there's like this restlessness in all of us, like a hope in all of us. Like we need to be going after that, right? And it can be super scary. So like finding the right counsel and, whether it's books or podcasts or conferences or business coaches or whatnot to help you through those transitions and just going for it, I think is so important. I think loved ones often will want us to stay safe. And so they may not be like cheering us on because they just want to save and be loved, right? So just being careful and like who's going to help, who might hinder, and like focus on those folks that are giving us advice that can help you next, the next steps. And then like every day, like, are we filling our cup up with like positive words, encouraging words, or things that are keeping us held down or negative? Like, I just feel, just not to let the world figure out who we are and just like keep going. And I myself need to hear that all the time. Like I've had very difficult transitions between careers because I get nervous, as we all do. Like it's taking that leap and just knowing that it'll pan out and looking back in your life of like showing, yep, that change panned out. Like most of your work things have panned out. And if you had a failure, you were able to learn from it. So there's really no reason to not move forward, especially on age or where you're at. Like we can do anything that's in us. That's our passion, our spark. And one thing I heard once was that as we go through life, there's like lighthouses, like just like different things that like just like spark joy in us, right? And then just continuing to go after them. Like don't ever shy away or like stay like where it's comfortable, but just like going for it. That's life. That's the exciting part. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I liked what you said about talking to the right people, because like you said too, that they're people that we do love, but they do some people may want it to be safe, or they're like, well, what if you fail? And what if you fail? I mean, that could be a possibility, but then you also want these people that are encouraging you and they can see the success and see this future for you. I like that you said that. Well, Jacquie, I appreciate you so much taking time to chat with me today. I would love for you to share where people can find information about the FreshTest as well.
Yeah. So If you're pregnant or doing the glucose tolerance test for another reason, you can go to FreshTest.com, or your provider or chiropractor or whatnot might have it in stock. But just reach out. We'll get you all the information you need. But wait, Erica, before we close up, I want to share how your pregnancy is. Can you share? Like, how's it going?
Yes. Well, and hopefully by the time this episode is released, I will have a baby and everything will be great. And so I am, as of today, I'm 34 weeks. So I am getting super close, and we're having a little girl, and we'll see how it goes.
How exciting. I love it.
Yes.
Such blessings. I love it.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jacquie Ramsey. Thank you so much for joining me today on the More Than Your Age podcast.
Thank you, Erica. Have a good day.